For an ARC opinion, this is really fascinating. Earlier this week, we told you about a 26,000-year-old skeleton of a red fox found inside of a cave in the Uinta Mountains. Our Jim Spiewak spoke with the project's lead organizer about how the discovery came about and the significance of the find. Take a listen.
When you came upon it and you discovered it, what was your initial reaction when you found out what it was and how complete it was?
Well, that came by way of email, actually, the initial part of it, because this skeleton had been known for a number of years, and the Forest Service knew about it because they've been going into the cave for years. And they took a small bone from it that they had dated about 15 years ago. And so Dave Heron, our Forest Service contact, was telling us at lunch one day last spring, I guess it was, about this canid skeleton that had come from Whiterocks Cave, but didn't really say much more than that. We assumed it was somebody's dog or even a canid of some type that was maybe a few hundred years old, but we didn't think much of it. But then the next day, he had forwarded us an email about this age that came back from it from 2009, that it was 26,000 years old. And at that point, we thought, wait a second, this is totally different. It's basically an ice age animal, not just something from the last couple hundred years. And so that got our attention, and we decided to go up there and collect it. And first seeing it was pretty impressive. We'd seen a photo of it, but to see it laid out there, it's essentially the entire skeleton, and largely articulated too. And I'm used to working on much older stuff, so this was incredible to see an entire animal just lying there. There were 9 people on the team, and it took us all together from the museum here. It was about a 16-hour day, and 6 hours of that was just in the cave itself, and a little more than 6 of it was just hiking up there. And part of the reason we were so slow compared to the normal trips that go into this cave is that we had to carry a bunch of supplies and equipment and stuff for packing the skeleton up and padding it enough that it wouldn't get broken on the way out. And so we had to haul a bunch of backpacks in there with all this gear. And so it was very slow. I think it took us about 2.5 hours to get back to the skeleton from the entrance to the cave, and then another 2.5 photographing it in place and then collecting it. And then on the way out, it actually only took us an hour, because by that point, we'd figured out how to get us and all our gear through all these obstacles in the cave that took us more than twice as long going in, because we were doing it for the first time. But when we had our system down, we flew out of there in an hour.
When you get to the site and you realize what you got, what is that feeling like for you?
It was one of the most exciting collections I've ever done, purely because of how complete and well preserved and delicate and small this animal is. I'm not used to seeing stuff like that very often, and especially not one that's basically just lying on top of the ground. The animal had decomposed there, but it had not really gotten buried very much at all, and it hadn't washed away. It was just lying there where it had been. And so I'm not used to seeing that, where you can see the entire animal all at once and just pick the bones up. Normally we're battling rock and, seeing parts of bones at a time, and things come out kind of piecemeal. So you don't see the entire thing until you've mapped it all. So seeing an entire animal there, and so delicate and well preserved, it was gorgeous. It was one of my favorite things I've ever done.